Okay, so now we're looking at data bindings. I already showed you how to pass variables from your backend to the front end here. I want us to look at data binding in a bit more. I don't know the word, but let's look at data binding. All right, so we have something like this, right? But we can also bind to input elements, right? So if I say, does my shorthand work? I don't know my shorthand works. Let me see. Okay, so we can also bind to something like this, right? So traditionally, you would have something, and let's say you have value, and then you have, let's put Kelvin again here, right? You might have something like this, right? If we look at the right, you can see Kelvin in here because that's a value we put. But what if we want to bind the value from the back end directly into it without actually having to make it manual? Well, welcome wire model. So this is where wire model comes in. Wire model helps you to bind your variable from the back end to the front end and then, play around with it. So wire model, it gives you single code, but I usually like using double quotes, but it doesn't really matter though, I guess. So I'm going to say name. So name is the name I'm using is actually this variable, public variable here, right? The reason why I can access it, if you're familiar with your object-oriented programming, you know what we mean by public. You have also have private and protected, right? So the reason why I can access it from the front end because this variable here is public, right? So if I say wire model public, let's see, we should still get the same results on the front end, right? You see, it still spits out Kelvin for us. But when I type something, okay, you know what? I want to echo the variable so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me echo the variable. How do I do that? I said, how do I do that? All right, so I can easily echo the variable using blade, just like the way we did here. Okay, we already did that, so that's fine. Yeah. So I can say hello. Let me put this down here, and right. So I say hello, uh, whatever this person's name is, Kelvin. But what I want to do, right? I want to, if I change this variable, if I change what is here, but since they are connected, since this back end is connected to the front end, if I change what's on the front end, I want it to change what is on the back end and then to now echo what is on the front end again. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in a bit, right? So in other words, what I'm trying to say is when I change this Kelvin to Martin, for example, I want here to also change to Martin, right? So let's see how I can do that. So one way to do that is I can now say wire model dot live, yeah, dot live. Now, keep in mind that in the previous versions, especially when livewire, sorry, there's a plane passing through. So, in case you can hear the sound of the plane, sorry about that. My mic is not all that. Yeah, so there's a plane. Sorry, plane. um, what was I saying? Yeah, I was actually talking about it. So keep in mind that in older versions of livewire, or rather when livewire first came out, you didn't need to do add live to it. But what you needed to do was add debounce or something so that it doesn't always send a network request every time you type in. That would really bog down the server if, especially if it's in a production server and you have multiple users, it will really be bogging down the server when you have to send multiple network requests. So in the newer versions, we Caleb Posey, which is the creator of Livewire and Alpine.js and Flux. What should I think did he create again? I don't remember right now. Right. So yeah, it wasn't here before. So now we have live to actually now send or give you a live update of what is on the back end. It actually syncs. So the live wire model actually synchronizes your back end with your front end without you actually having to do anything at all. So this is one of the beauties of live wire, right? Some might say it's similar to Vue.js, but as we go on, you see that it's kind of actually different. Okay, so we have this. Right, let's see what it's going to show us on the front end. I'll just refresh and say it says Kelvin. But if I say Kelvin Charles, you see already it updates for me, right? If I remove everything, it removes it. If I put my name here, right? So how cool is that when I can just type something and automatically updates the front end, the back end for me without actually doing a lot of JavaScript or actually creating an AJAX request. It just does it automatically for me. Let me show you something, right? If I come here to inspect, let's look at the network requests here. I'm sure this is a bit small. You might not be able to see, but please bear with me. Uh, can I change it to a mobile view? Maybe that might be a bit better. Oh, it's not even as good. This one looks okay. I think this is a bit better. Right. So if we're going to look at the XHR request, which is just a fancy term for saying network request, right? Every time we type, let me remove the live so you can see it. I'm going to remove this live, right? I'll remove this live and then let's see it. I'll refresh. You see it's Kelvin, right? And all this. But you see, when I make a change, when I add Charles, it's not actually updating the front end. It's actually updating on the back end, but it's not actually updating on the front end. Why? Because I'm not telling Livewire to actually watch for live changes and update the front end. That's where that live actually now comes in. So when I say dot live, it actually updates. I'm going to show you in a bit. Okay. So I'm going to say Charles. You see, but you notice that it is actually updating for every single click, every single, but we don't want it like that because it's going to be sending too many requests, right? So one thing we can do is add another modifier or an attribute we can call debounce. So the bounce gives us a default, I think 150 milliseconds, right, interval before it actually sends the network request. So it waits for you. Okay, like do you have any other thing to add to it? If you don't have any other thing, then it sends the network request. So I'll just refresh and show you that to you right now. Okay. So as much as I'm typing, you see it's not actually, if I'm typing fast enough, it's not updating. But when I stop, it updates, right? Now, if this time is too short a time for it to update, I can still add extra modifiers and say, you know what, I want it to be 500 milliseconds before you actually do anything. And let's try that again. Okay. So I'm just going to be typing. You see that there's no network request being sent. But the moment I stop, you see network request update, right? So this is one way you can modify the rate at which your application sends network requests. Sometimes you might not even need it to send a live network request, so you don't need that dot live attribute. But if we look at the DOM, right? Let's look at yeah. So it's actually 200. Okay, it actually sent the request. I'm actually looking for the payloads. Okay, I think this should be it. Okay, so this was actually the payload that it sent, and then here is actually what it updated, which is the name here. This is actually update. So the way livewire works is that it actually, when you update the DOM, which is actually what I'm trying to look for, but I can't find it right now. Right, there's supposed to be like a DOM here somewhere, but I can't find it, so please bear with me. right? So what it actually does is that it looks at the DOM and say, okay, this is what I need to update, or this is what's supposed to have changed. And then it looks at it and like, okay, is there anything that actually changed in this? I think maybe they updated it with the new versions because there's supposed to be a DOM here somewhere, right? So it looks at it and looks at this change here, which is this one, and then it says, okay, is there any change here? If there's an actual change here, it will now update your view, your front end for you. But if there's no change, it will just keep it, right? So this is one way you can actually see your network request and see what is changing. So livewire does not automatically change the entire view. It only changes what it actually looks at that actually has a change. That's what it changes for you and not your entire view. And it is still what's it called? It is still SEO friendly because if we look at the page source, you can see hello Kelvin, right? So you can actually see that. You see the our inputs that we did. I think this data binding class might be. I'm gonna add some other things to it, so just to make it a bit fun. I'm gonna say public dollar loud, for example, and set it to false, right? Then I'm also going to say public beatings and set it to. I'm gonna set it to hello. So I'm gonna add an exclamation mark to it. I'm going to use a checkbox just to show you that you can actually put your inputs for put your why you can actually bind to any inputs, right? And then I'm going to bind it to the backend, which is loud. When you check it, if you change it to true and say now here I don't need to use a PHP if statement. I can just use blade statement here and say and if you don't allowed, right, then give me this and then end this. No, I don't need any other thing, just end this. Yeah, that's fine, right? So if basically I'm saying if dollar allowed is true, so when you check it, it will now change the dollar allowed to true, which will now make this true and then give you that exclamation mark, which I'm expecting to be there. Okay, so let's try it out. Okay. Okay, so you can see I have an error here. Okay, so I have to end it. So sorry, I apologize for that. Okay. Yeah. So if I say hello Kelvin and I put this one is supposed to show. Oh, I didn't make it live. Sorry. The struggles. Okay, so this should work now. I'll just refresh and then we should be good. So if I say, you see it apostle, it shows now. But if I uncheck, it goes away. If I check, it comes. If I check, it goes away, right? If I still change the name, Charles, hello Charles, not also hello Charles, so that is livewire magic. We can also still add to it. We can use what's it called now? This one here that I wanted to do. Or did I do this one? Oh no, I didn't add this one. Let me add this one. So it's I want to add to it, and yeah, I just use a select here, right? I use a select here, and can I get a select from down here? Okay, so I think this is fine. I have to now change this to to wire it up and say this. Okay, I hope you're understanding what I'm doing so far. So I'll refresh. Right. So I can say, oh, I didn't put live. Another thing again. You think I'll learn, right? Okay. So I'll refresh. I'll say goodbye, Kelvin. I'll say, hey, Kelvin, or hey, Martins, you know, or hey, Martins. Oh, it's showing an apostle. This is not supposed to be shown. Why are you showing there? Uh, can anybody? Okay, it's here. Sorry, I guess all of that it's not supposed to be showing here. Okay, so hey Kelvin, I'm changing it to Martins. Yep. Hey Martins, I'm changing it to goodbye Martins. Can also change it to hey Martins or hello Martins. So you can see you can bind to any input element. Now let's say I want to make this, as I saw initially, I want to make this into sort of an array, right? Right. So you want to select multiple. So this is how I'm gonna do it, and then I obviously include. So AI is basically just helping me type what I was supposed to type. So I just include it and put a comma to separate it, and put the greetings. Here, I hope that makes sense. This is a basic PHP, if you'd remember. All right, so let's try it. I hope I got everything right. I hope I got my lives right. Okay, so I'll refresh and I'm going to change to Martins and I'm going to say hello, goodbye Martins, hello Martins. Oh no, it's supposed to change. Why is it not changing? That's weird. No, you're supposed to change. You're supposed to change. What am I doing wrong? It's supposed to change. Okay, so I kind of figured out why it wasn't working before. Right, so nothing has changed actually here, but I figured out why it wasn't working. The select. So if I click, it's not changing. The reason why because I'm not holding down Control or Shift. So if I hold down my Control and click, you see, I hold down my Control and click. So it actually works. It's just that maybe my browser or I had to hold down Control, but it works. Okay. So all work. So this is data binding in a nutshell. I hope you understood it. I hope the video wasn't too long for you. Right. So I'll catch you in the next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps a lot. Like I said, it's taking a lot to actually make this video because I have to find the time to make the videos for you to watch. Right. So I've been Ola. I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye. Bye.